Welcome to all final year MCOM students to the live session on risk and insurance management. RIM, risk and insurance management. Well, my dear students, I'll be taking only 1 hour per week and I'll be dealing with only one unit. Now I'll share you the syllabus with you. Yeah, hope you can see the syllabus. Yeah, risk and insurance management, subject name. So I'll be dealing with the unit 4. There are 6 units. So I'll be dealing with the unit 4, legal issues in insurance business, legal aspects of insurance business. Okay. So remaining all 5 sessions will be taken over by Dr. Ganesh sir. Now I'll share you my PPT. I'll start my class. Can you see my PPT? Hope you can see my PPT. Yeah. Uh, the menu for the today's session is, let us have a let us trace back the origin of insurance. Let us speak about introduction part of the insurance contract, history of insurance in India. There we need to discuss on life insurance, general insurance, then the applicability, regulations of business in India, where exactly these regulations affect the general insurance business in India, and the role of regulator, and finally I talk about insurance markets, in that particularly the channel partners or the distributors. So this is the menu for today's session. Okay. So as far as the introduction to insurance contract is concerned, insurance is form of contract or an agreement where one party agrees in return for a consideration to pay an agreed amount of money to another party to make good the loss, damages, or injury to something of value in which the insured has interest. Being a contract of indemnity, you know the meaning of indemnity, protecting the loss. The dictionary meaning of the indemnity is protecting the loss. So, being a contract of indemnity, it is based on the principle of utmost good faith. In today's world, insurance companies offer retail insurance policies of varied nature, including life, health, fire, marine, etc. etc. Now, individuals definitely can purchase such policies either in their individual capacity, or the employee friendly organization may extend such cover as perks of the employment. The business of insurance extends to protection of the economic value of assets. The owner of an asset attaches a value to the property, since it gives them some benefit in the form of income or the loss which could cause irreparable loss to the owner. For example, owning a car, owning a car for self-use, owning a car for self-use might not give any monetary benefit, but it is more for the pleasure of comfort it provides to the owner. Is it not? If the vehicle is damaged due to, say, for example, waterlogging due to heavy rains, the car will have only scrap value. A need for covering this risk arises in such unforeseen situations. Alternatively, a company which is the business of transportation may own a fleet of lorries which are given on lease for others who want to transport goods. In this scenario, there could be reduction on the revenue if there is an accident to the lorry due to which the transportation business is affected. Here, the need for insurance as a risk management tool definitely will arise. Definitely will arises. Similarly, disablement, permanent or temporary in nature, or a death of a person in a family may definitely bring down the standard of living of the family. Therefore, there is a need to give the financial protection in the form of monetary compensation on disablement or death of the breadwinner to the members of the family. So here also need for life insurance policy, correct? So here need for life insurances arises. So in all these scenario, the whatever you have discussed, car, fleet of lorry, or disablement or permanent or temporary health issues or death, in all these scenarios, the beneficiary, the owner himself or the nominee in case of life insurance would be compensated. Therefore, insurance is a tool of risk management to cover the uncertainties, the risk of loss of assets or human life. Do you think insurance is a investment? No, insurance cannot be considered as a investment. Insurance is a the substitute for the risk coverage. There is no other substitute. Insurance hedges the risk, the life risk. So that is why insurance is a substitute for the risk coverage. It is not an investment. The Indian Contract Act 1872, which I've already studied in the BCom level, sets forth the basic requirements of a contract as per section 10 of the act. All agreements or contracts, if they are made by the free consent of the parties competent to contract for a lawful consideration with a lawful object and are not expressly declared to be void. I think you have studied this section 10 definition in the subject called business law, subject called commercial law. An insurance policy is also a contract entered into between two parties, the insurance company and the policy holder. The insurance company and the policy holder fulfills the requirements of the Indian Contract Act. Okay. So that is why there is a need of insurance contract. So this is all about introduction. Now come to the history of insurance business in India. In India, insurance has a deep rooted history. It finds mention in the writings of Manu, the term called Manusmriti. Another one is, you can also find out in the books written. Have you heard about Kautilya? Kautilya Arthashastra, Yagnavalkya Dharmashastra. All these things, from all these things, definitely you can trace the insurance. So we had insurance in that period. The writing talks in terms of pooling of resources that could be redistributed in times of calamities such as fire, floods, epidemics, and food shortage. And this was the probably a precursor to modern day insurance. The ancient Indian history has preserved the earliest traces of insurance in the form of marine trade loans and carriers contract. Insurance in India has evolved over time, heavily drawing from other countries. The England in particular, because the most of the laws we have borrowed from the English, is it not? Now we will be discussing. Let us have a look on the brief history of life insurance as well as a general insurance. Fine. As far as life insurance concerned, the year 1818, 18, saw the advent of life insurance business in India with the establishment of the Oriental Life Insurance Company in Calcutta. This company, however, failed in 1834. In 1829, the Madras Equitable had begun transacting life insurance business in the Madras Presidency. 1870, 1870 saw the enactment of the British Insurance Act in the last 3 decades of the 19th century. The Bombay Mutual 1871, Oriental 1874, and Empire of India 1897 were started in the Bombay Residency. This era, however, was dominated by foreign insurance officers which did good business in India, which did good business in India, to put it on to mention, namely Albert Life Insurance, Royal Insurance, Liverpool and London Globe Insurance, and the Indian offices were up for hard competition from the foreign companies. In 1914, my dear students, in 1914, the government of India started publishing the returns of insurance companies in India. The Indian Life Insurance or the Life Assurance Companies Act 1912 was the Indian Life Assurance Companies Act 1912 was the first statutory measures to regulate life business. In 1928, the Indian Insurance Companies Act was enacted to enable the government to collect statistical information about both life and non-life business transacted in India by Indian and foreign insurers, including provident insurance societies. But in 1938, with a view to protecting the interest of the insurance public, the earlier registration was consolidated and amended by the Insurance Act 1938 with comprehensive provisions for effective control over the activities of insurers. So this is the act which we have 1938. Okay. Later, the Insurance Amendment Act of 1950 abolished the principal agencies. However, there were a large number of insurance companies and the level of competition was very high. There were also allegations of unfair trade practices. The government of India therefore decided to nationalize insurance business. An ordinance was issued on 19 January 1956 nationalizing the life insurance sector, and the life insurance corporation came into existence in the same year. The LIC, no, the Life Insurance Corporation, absorbed nearly 154 Indian and 16 non-Indian insurers. There's also a 75 provident societies, 245 Indian and foreign insurance in all. The LIC had monopoly till late 90s when the insurance sector was reopened to the private sector. So till 1990s, LIC had monopoly. So after 1990s, the private sectors also entered into the insurance market, particularly in India. Well, now come to the general insurance. The history of general insurance dates back to the industrial revolution in the West and consequent growth of seafaring trade and commerce in the 17th century. It came to India as a legacy of British occupation. General insurance in India has its root in the establishment of Triton Insurance Company Limited, TRITON, Triton Insurance Company Limited, in the year 1850s in Kolkata by the British. In 1907, the Indian Mercantile Insurance Limited was set up. In 1907, the Indian Mercantile Insurance Limited was set up. This was the first company to transact all classes of general insurance business. Well, in 1957, saw the formation of the General Insurance Council, a wing of the Insurance Association of India. The General Insurance Council framed a code of conduct for ensuring a fair conduct of sound business practices. In 1972, with the passing of the General Insurance Business Nationalization Act, the general business was nationalized with effect from 1st January 1973. 107 insurers were amalgamated. 107 insurers. 107 insurers were amalgamated and grouped into four companies, which we have now, namely the National Insurance Company Limited, the New India Assurance Company Limited, the Oriental Insurance Company Limited, and the United India Insurance Company Limited. Right now we have all these four. So ಈ ಫೋರ್ ಕಂಪನಿ ಬರಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಮೊದಲು ಎಷ್ಟು ಮರ್ಜ್ ಆಯಿತು? 107 ಎಲ್ಲ ಒಟ್ಟು ತಗೊಂಡು ಮರ್ಜ್ ಮಾಡಿ 4 ಕಂಪನಿಯಾಗಿ ಮರ್ಜ್ ಆಯಿತು. Well, the General Insurance Corporation of India was incorporated as a company in 1971 and it commenced business on January 1st, 1973. Recently, very recently, the central government has proposed the bank merge ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ, in the similar direction. The central government has proposed merger of three public sector general insurance companies except New India Assurance Company Limited, paving the way for consolidation in run government run general insurance companies. So there is a in future, there is a chance of again clubbing. Well, now let us move on to the next slide. Come to the regulation of insurance business in India. Regulatory framework of insurance business in India. 1 minute. Yeah. Insurance business in India. The process of reopening of the sector had begun in the early 1990s, and the last decade and more has seen it being opened up substantially. In 1993, the government set up a committee under the chairmanship of R.N. Malhotra, the former governor of RBI, to propose recommendations for reforms in the insurance sector. The objective was to complement the reforms initiated in the financial sector. The committee submitted its report in 1994, wherein, among other things, it recommended that the private sector be permitted to enter the insurance industry. They started that foreign companies be allowed to enter by floating Indian companies, preferably a joint venture with Indian partners. Following the recommendations of the Malhotra Committee report in 1999, the Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority (IRDA), Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority, was constituted as an autonomous body to regulate and to develop the insurance industry. It's a major step. IRDA was established in the year 1999 because based on the recommendation given by the Malhotra Committee. Well, my dear students, this millennium has been insurance come a full circle in journey extending nearly 200 years. So almost we reached 200 years. When you look at history, the process of reopening of the sector had begun in early 1990s, and the last decade and more has seen it been opened up substantially, which I mentioned just 5 minutes back. In 1993, the government set up Malhotra Committee, is it not? So because of this recommendation of Malhotra Committee, IRDA was also established, correct? Well, the IRDA was incorporated as a statutory body in April 2000. So it was constituted in the year 1999 and incorporated as a statutory body in the year April 2000. The key objectives of the IRDA, which includes promotion of competition so as to ensure the customer satisfaction through increased customer choice and the lower premiums, while ensuring the financial security of the insurance market. The IRDA opened up the market in August 2000 with the invitation for application for registrations. The foreign companies were also allowed to ownership of up to 26% in the equity share capital of the insurer. This limit was later raised to 49% during the year 2016. The authority has a power to frame regulation under section 114A of the Insurance Act 1938 and has formed No, no, as from the year 2000 onwards, various regulations ranging from registration of companies for carrying on insurance business to protection of policyholder interests were formed. So right from the registration till Ilitanka to cover the protection policyholders' interests were also framed. In December 2000, the subsidiaries of the General Insurance Corporations of India were restructured as independent companies, and at the same time, GIC, General Insurance Corporation, was converted into National Reinsurer. The Parliament passed a bill delinking the four subsidiaries from GIC in July 2002. Okay. Besides IRDA Act, the Insurance Act 1938, there are some common act or regulations to the general and life insurance business in India, and some acts have been made for specific requirement of life insurance as well as general insurance. Okay, now I'll come to the acts or regulations governing both life insurance and general insurance business in India. The acts regulate the insurance business in India are Insurance Act 1938 and Insurance Laws Amendment Act 2015. The second one is Insurance Rules 1939. The third one is IRDA Act 1999 and Insurance Amendment Act 2002. Next one, Insurance Rules 2016, Exchange Control Regulations, FEMA. Earlier we had FERA till 1999. Then FEMA was introduced instead in the place of FERA. So the FERA was abolished. FERA means Foreign Exchange Regulation Act. In the place of FERA, now we have a FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act. FEMA stands for Foreign Exchange Management Act. Then next number is Indian Stamp Act 1899. And we have Insurance Ombudsman Rules 2017. In the year 2017, Insurance Ombudsman was introduced to protect the interest of the public or the insurance policy holders. Next one is rules and regulations framed under Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority Act 1999. Well, next I'll move on to the regulations affecting general insurance business in India. Act which affects or regulate in some way or the other way some aspects of the general insurance business in India are Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1925, which affects the regulations from the general insurance business. Marine Insurance Act 1963 also affected. Indian Steam Vessels Amendment Act 1977, Motor Vehicles Act 1988, all these were affected. Regulations affect the general insurance business in India. All these acts were affected. Then after Motor Vehicle Act 1988, next is Multi-Modal Transport Act 1993, General Insurance Nationalization Act 1972, Merchant Shipping Act 1958, ESI, Kelidirala, Employee State Insurance Act 1948, Public Liability Insurance Act 1991, Carriage by Air Act 1972, Indian Post Office Act 1898 also affected, Carrier Act 1865, then Indian Railways Act 1989, the Indian Railways Act 1989. Indian Ports, Major Ports Act 1963. Bill of Lading Act 1855. And Aircraft Act 1934. All these, regulations affecting the general business, insurance business in India. So these are the acts, affects or regulate in some way or the other way some aspect of the general insurance business in India. So you can see the insurance in all these areas, correct? Yes. To mention, for example, aircraft. If accident takes place, again we are coming to general insurance, correct? You take railway, Indian Railway Act. There also, if accident takes place, again we are coming to the insurance accident. Well, next come to the role of regulator. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India is the regulator for insurance companies operating in India. The mission of IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India, is to protect the interest of the policyholder and to proport and to promote orderly growth of the Indian insurance industry. Orderly growth of the Indian insurance industry. Please make a point. The mission of the IRDAI is to protect the interest of the policyholder and to promote orderly growth of the Indian insurance industry. Every insurance company will have to register themselves with the IRDAI and obtain a certificate of registration for doing insurance business in India. Besides the insurance companies, IRDAI also regulates the insurance intermediaries like corporate agents, insurance brokers, and the other intermediaries by requiring them to have a certificate of registration before they start doing any insurance solicitation. Solicitation means inviting. IRDAI have issued many regulations and guidelines under the framework provided under the Insurance Act 1938. They have power of inspection and investigation and to prevent any insurer or intermediary to stop doing business if it is expedient to do so in the interest of the policyholder or in the public interest. Then I'll move on to the insurance market. And insurance marketing typically comprises of three stakeholders. Three stakeholders. Number one, policyholder. Number two, insurance agent. And the number three is intermediary or insurance mediary or insurance company or insurer. So overall the three stakeholders: policyholder, insurance agent, and the third one is intermediary or intermediary or insurance company or insurer. Well, policyholder is the customer to whom the policy is issued. The policyholder can be an individual policyholder or a corporate policyholder. Individual policyholder are also called the retail segment and constitutes the biggest chunk of customers. For example, all life insurance companies issued nearly 264.20 lakhs policies to various individual policy holders. The corporate policy holders are comprised of business entities that purchase insurance cover for various business needs. In the life insurance segment, it can be group term life insurance policies, group superannuation policies, group credit life policies. But in non-life insurance business, individual policies are taken for various lines of business, such as vehicle or motor insurance, health insurance, fire insurance, householders comprehensive policy, etc., etc. Please make a note that engineering insurance, directors and officers, indemnity insurance policies, aviation insurance, etc., will come under corporate policy categories. All this comes under corporate policies category. Now come to the channel partners or the distributors. The channel partners or the distributor consisting of or constitutes individual agents, corporate agents, insurance brokers, web aggregators, motor insurance service provider, point of sale person, insurance marketing firms, micro insurance agents, common service centers, etc., etc. These individual agents work for only one insurance company. Please understand, individual agents works for only one insurance company at a time. They are permitted to sell the insurance products of only one insurance company they are tie up with. They are tie up with. An individual agent can work for one life insurance company and one non-life insurance company and one standalone health insurance company at a time. So all one life insurance, one non-life insurance, another one is one standalone health insurance company. All these rule applicable to individual agent. Then as far as corporate agents are allowed, as far as corporate agents are to work up, allowed to work for up to 3 life, 3 non-life, and 3 standalone health insurance companies at a time. Okay. Then insurance broker is concerned. Insurance brokers are authorized to sell the insurance company of any number of insurance companies, life, non-life, standalone health insurance companies. Then point of sale person are permitted to sell only certain approved pre underwritten products. Then motor insurance service provider to solicit and procure. Procure means purchase. Purchase business for non-life insurers for the motor line of business. Then as far as web aggregators sell through online process for multiple insurance companies. They offer product comparisons through their websites by linking with the websites of insurance companies. Even the website you can check your premium, you can compare the premium with the different companies. ICICI, SBI, all these things will provide service also. Well, insurance marketing firms are allowed to sell insurance products and other financial products like small savings products, etc. They are acting as a financial supermarket. Then micro insurance agents and common service centers cater to the rural and the micro insurance segment. They sell typically low ticket simple insurance products in rural areas and promote insurance penetration across the rural segment. Finally, No, the various distributors mentioned and we have studied approach, that they have followed the approach, prospects, policyholders, and sell insurance policies for the insurance companies. Ultimately, the purpose is the selling the product. In consideration of the business source, insurance company pay them commission as the compensation, which is based on the premiums collected from the policyholders and remitted to insurance companies. All these channel partner will get commission. All these channel partner distributor will get commission based on the premium amount paid, collected and paid to the insurance companies. Well, finally, one thing you have to remember: whomsoever the distributor, whomsoever the channel partners, for all the intermediaries, please remember, this is my conclusion for today's session. For all the intermediaries, there are detailed IRDAI regulations, guidelines regulating their conduct of operations. What I mean to say here is that ultimately the control lies in the hands of the IRDAI. IRDAI can inspect, can investigate, and cancel your agencyship or corporateship, whatever. They can stop doing this insurance business. So ultimate power lies in the hands of the IRDAI. Okay, I'll wind up today's class. In the next class, let us discuss about the elements of insurance contract. So till then, have a nice time and thank you.